The mild-mannered matron you all know, admire, and love wasn't always so. You'd never guess her quirky ways back in her much younger days. But we too know her best, hereby faithfully attest.
From the minute Marge came through the door, she was beloved by all like none before. Though only 3 and 5 years old, already we were clay, and she was gold.
Our dad especially was forever over the moon about her. He'd rub her feet by the hour. She always managed to stretch out on the couch where he was sitting. If she hankered for a Brigham Sunday, he was on his way. Heck, he'd even peel her a grape. That was true. All this is true.
Oh, that was expected.
Not the grape, not the grape.
You always ask her.
We used to ask
You always ask
But
her.
Mother always said, our mother always said, that little girl has more power in her little than everybody wrapped up in this house. From the
Mom,
minute-
you're not bitter, are you?
You're not bitter. Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, from the minute Marge came, I'm backing up, sorry. When Marge was born, we were an abnormal-sized family living in a normal-sized house. And even though she was tiny, we had to make room for her. So our parents, our 2 sets of parents, literally carved out a space between their 2 rooms to make a bedroom for Marge. And I call it a bedroom. A closet would be more
Or a hall.
like it, or a hall, sort of a whitish hall or a small closet.
Then at 5, to make room for Paul, Marge moved in with me, dolls and all. Speaking of dolls, Marjorie loved dolls. She just took terrible care of them. In fact, I got so disturbed and upset at the tangly blonde mess of her Sparkle Plenty doll. Sparkle Plenty actually was a Dick Tracy's girlfriend or something, and
Yeah.
there was a doll for her, and she let her hair just get a mess, and I tried to comb it out and I couldn't, so I cut it. I was doing her a favor, right? It was a short bob, it looked nice, and did she thank me? No.
Well, but
True
you know,
story.
that's a true story, but really enough about you. Because I, in order to make room for you, got
my
bumped
room.
out of, in our room, got bumped out of my room, my bed, across the hall, to the room across the hall, in the attic. There were 2 bedrooms and a bathroom in the attic, where I got to room with my old maid, pursed-lipped, cranky Aunt Lo. And in order to make room for me there, our prettier old maid aunt was bumped downstairs, which from the attic, which sounds sort of like a plus, except for that she wound up having to go in with her mother into a kind of tiny room. You get the picture. It wasn't perfect in any way. So at 10, I find myself in this place where I really find it a bore, and I know that it's where I learned how to snore.
You bet.
Wait a minute, speaking of the worst deal, you skipped over the part when Marge was still in the closet and was afraid to sleep alone. And I got elected to have to lie down in bed with her every night until she fell asleep.
Well, that
convinced-
sounds familiar, doesn't it?
I'm convinced she's the reason now I'm an insomniac.
True. Well, anyway, this frail little girl, she was so very meek and quiet and shy when she'd speak. But don't be fooled by her dresses and dolls. Appearances aside, she had Moxie's balls.
Like him, she was eccentric and unconventional. Even at age 5, she had a sense of her own style. Other kids ran around in shorts and bathing suits and skirts, and Marge ran around in this white satin wedding gown with a veil that she never wanted to take off. She's 5 years old, constantly floating around in this dress with a lace veil, and like a little apparition.
It's like an apparition. And in fact, she invented layers before they were chic. And as she grew older, her style became even more unique. Remember, more you can't be more. But it became more unique. For instance, when
She'd come home from the holidays with her gentle, pot-smoking, guitar-wielding boyfriend, who had a shock of shaggy red hair and whom the family dubbed Cedar Mop. No way thought she'd wind up with a Jewish duck.
and you'd never know now from her fancy New Haven ass that as a kid hers was Dorchester class. She'd set the table, toting under each armpit a glass, and stick her thumb in anything you'd ask her to pass.
True story. And talk about guts, at age 11, I came upon her with a threaded needle, a match, holding ice cubes on her earlobes. She then sterilized the needle and pierced her ears.
Really. And while I, just the week before, had gone to a bona fide medical doctor and had mine done. So first of all, I've never worn pierced ears since because they were uneven, but because they got immediately infected.
She
You never had a problem.
Not a moment's problem.
Not a moment's
Did
problem.
herself like this in a mirror. Here's a good one. In the 7th grade, Marge was assigned to, don't you kids listen. Marge was assigned to read a biography and write a book report. She went immediately to the encyclopedia, made up a title, invented the author, and turned it in with an innocent face.
I don't remember that.
You don't? I do.
No,
The author's name was somebody Radcliffe. I remember.
Well, she just read about it in this person in the encyclopedia and made up a book.
Yeah, right. Well, perfect me is slaving away, and little Miss Meek and Lazy gets an A.
Got an A on it, she did that. Marge never even felt guilty or had any remorse. There was the time she lit a cigarette and then made pretty little holes in a napkin.
This is one.
We were home alone. And she came in and showed me the napkin. We were the only ones home, and she showed me the napkin. And we just, I'm 3 years older. Yeah. So, and I'm smart, so I took a match and put it to the napkin. Well, of course, the napkin blew up. We dropped it. It was on the rug. It made a bad stain and a burn. And Marge had no problem boldly denying we were involved in the stain. I still live with the guilt.
Well, the oddest thing about it is that Marge, you did all these things and you didn't have any guilt. So how is it today that you are plagued with guilt? Plagued with guilt. And it really haunts you today. And in the end, the apple fell right under the Aunt L tree. Because we've said this about Moxie and his balls and having no qualms about anything. Your mother had qualms and guilt about everything. Name it, she had it.
And so you have it. She naps too much and watches TV, thinks her mothering deserves a C. Look at her girls, so how can that be? They are great, as we can all see. But most like Aunt Del, Marge has her generosity, shown in the tale of the deathbed shocking spleen.
Now, that was a classic. That was a classic. We three, not Paul, Marge, and I, were sitting in the hospital room with Aunt Del when she was literally dying. She was really on her last breaths. That was pretty depressing, pretty sad. And suddenly, Marge whips out her credit card. Not her credit card, her mother's credit card. And says, "Let's head to the mall while this card is still good." and we flew to the car as fast as we could. She said, fan out to the stores and hurry, do. Get something for Barb too.
I thought you were there.
No, I wasn't.
No, she wasn't there.
She wasn't.
Anyway, this really sounds, I know it sounds greedy and crass, but if you knew Wandell,
She would have
you
wanted
knew
it. Yeah.
it wasn't at all, because we came back, we were loaded with bundles and with tears in our eyes and smiles on our faces. And we just knew that somewhere in her foggy, wherever she was smiling, and she was wishing that she had been with us wielding the credit card herself. So Marge,
Of both your parents,
you have the best.
to have you as our
Sister,
sister, we feel
feel
blessed.
blessed.
I am the one who feels blessed to have two sisters who I
Every
love,
word
love, love,
true,
love.
and I'm sure we left out
So
some.
very blessed.